we have a problem here where we are given that x squared minus x minus 3 squared is equal to x to the third power plus 17. And given that information, we want to find out what x is. Now, your first impulse is probably to multiply this out. But when you multiply this out, you get an x to the fourth power, which is really hard to solve. So we go back to using simple algebraic formulas. We see that 17 can be broken into 16 plus 1 or 4 squared plus 1. Well, we're going to utilize that by subtracting 16 from both sides to make it an a plus b times an a minus b formula. Like so. This is now going to be x squared minus x minus 3 squared minus 4 squared is equal to x to the third power plus 1. I just subtracted 16 from both sides. Now, this gives us an equation. We get x squared minus x minus 3 plus 4 times x squared minus x minus 3 minus 4 is equal to x to the third plus 1. Now, we can further simplify this. So this is going to be x squared minus x, well, negative 3 plus 4 is just positive 1. So plus 1 times x squared minus x, well, negative 3 minus 4 is just negative 7. So minus 7 is equal to, well, we can make this into an equation. And this is actually a formula. Once you have turned this into a formula, you get x plus 1 times x squared minus x plus 1 right here. Now you move this to the left-hand side. So what you get is x squared minus x plus 1 times x squared minus x minus 7 minus x plus 1 times x squared minus x plus 1 is equal to 0. Now we see that both of these terms have a factor of x squared minus x plus 1. So we can take that out. We take it out here. X squared minus x plus 1. Now we multiply this in. This is x squared minus x minus 7. That's the left-hand side. And then this is just minus x plus 1, which is still equal to 0. So that is our new equation right there. Now that we have found our new equation, it's pretty easy from here. We can figure out this inside, which is pretty easy. So it's going to be x squared minus x plus 1 times, the inside is just going to be x squared, since it's not being subtracted by anything, minus 2x, since you're subtracting x 2 times, and then a minus 8 is equal to 0. Now we see that this inside is a quadratic equation, and we can actually factor it out into one term times another term. And so what you're left with is these numbers. Since it's negative 2 here, it's negative 4 and positive 2 right there. So we can rewrite this equation again. This is going to be x squared minus x plus 1 times, well, now that we found the numbers, we can just plug it in for an equation. X minus 4 and x plus 2 is equal to 0. Now, one of them have to be 0, or there's a case where all of them are equal to 0. Let's start with the first term, x squared minus x plus 1. We need to find the delta, just to prove something. The delta is going to be, well, b squared, that's just 1 minus 4 in a square root. Since 4ac, those are both 1s, just minus 4. So the delta is going to be negative 3, well, the square root of negative 3. And we know this answer is wrong because a delta cannot be a negative. So this isn't 0. Then our other two terms have to be equal to 0. So this problem actually has two answers. So our first answer is x is equal to positive 4 because 4 minus 4 is 0. And our second answer, due to that logic, is x is equal to negative 2 because that also makes a 0 here. So those are our two answers.